Welcome to this video on basic word problem strategy. Let's get right to it. We're going to be talking about the steps to solving word problems, in particular, a 5-step process. Now, this is not a magic recipe that's going to give you the solution to any word problem. It's more of a strategy for approaching word problems that is hopefully going to make you more successful by getting you to focus on the right things. The first step in this 5-step process is to read carefully. Not a big surprise, but we want to focus on exactly what you're being asked to find. That's often in the very last sentence of the word problem. I also recommend that you read the problem 2, 3, or even 4 times to make sure that you really understand the situation that's being described. They can also often be confusing in the way that they're written, so that the first or second time that you read them, you don't quite understand everything that's going on or how things relate to each other. But if you keep reading and breaking it down, usually it will start to make sense. So I encourage you to do that because it's very difficult to answer a question that you don't understand. Number 2, identify the important and unimportant information in the problem. We want to identify the important information, keeping in mind that we need the things that are going to help us answer the question. And there are often things that are included that we don't need to answer the question. They're interesting to know, but they're not related to the question that's being asked. So these two go hand in hand. 3, we want to choose the right operations to use. We kind of have to come up with a math strategy that says we're going to add, or we're going to subtract, or we're going to add and then multiply. Sometimes you need multiple operations. So you need an operation strategy that stems from understanding the problem and using the information that's going to get you the answer to what you're being asked. We're going to choose from those basic operations most of the time. Then you're going to do those calculations. Finally, and this is really important, make sure that your answer sounds reasonable. If you come up with an answer to a question involving the number of gallons of paint and you get 0.02 gallons of paint, that's probably not a reasonable answer. You should be expecting a number that sounds about right. If it doesn't sound about right, go back and check your work and see if you made a mistake. Let's go through 3 problems here. We're going to start with kind of the most basic. You had $500 in a bank account. The balance in the account after you paid a medical bill is $375. How much was the medical bill? So let me draw a little rectangle here. Let's say that this is the amount. This is like a little bar chart of the amount in our bank account initially. We had $500. And then we went down to $375, maybe like right there. And we would say that is $375 that is remaining. Let me erase that and fix that number. $375. So if this is the amount that we have left, and we started with this, then this amount right here must be the medical bill. How could we find that amount with a math operation? Well, we could take $500 and subtract $375, and that gives us $125. Does that sound about right? Is that a reasonable medical bill? Does it seem to explain the situation here? Yes, it does. We could also do some work and try to imagine that we had our $500 and we wrote a $125 check, or we made a $125 online payment. Does that leave us with $375? Yes, it does. So That all seems to work out, and we can feel pretty confident that that's the correct answer. Now, pretty simple problem there with, not a lot of words, no extra information. Let's take a look at a more complicated one. You sell handmade birdhouses online for $50 each. Each birdhouse uses $12 of wood and takes 40 minutes to make. If you sold 20 birdhouses last month, what were your total sales for birdhouses last month? We're focused on this last sentence. We sold 20 birdhouses last month. What were our total sales for birdhouses last month? Now, when we're calculating total sales, it's going to be a number of something times the price that we sell those things for. So from our problem here, we can see that we sold 20. And what was the price? Well, up here, we can see in our very first sentence, we sell them for $50 each. So let's multiply those by our price of $50. And let's look at the rest of our problem here and see if there's anything else we need. Each birdhouse uses $12 of wood. Well, nowhere did it ask us how much it costs to make our birdhouses. We're just talking about what we sell them for. So we're not worried about that one. And 40 minutes to make. We also were not asked about how long it took to make these 20 birdhouses. So we don't need that information either. So it seems like this is all we need. 20 times 50 is $1,000. And here's our answer D. Let's take a look at one more problem. A lot of words here, a lot of numbers we can see just glancing at it. It kind of gives us a headache, but I can assure you that buried in here is a very simple problem. Let's try to find it. Jalen drove 15 miles to go pick apples at an organic farm. Her trip to the farm took about 27 minutes. The apples were $4 per pound for any variety. The farm was also selling pre-picked apples for $36 a bushel. Jalen picked 45 apples that weighed 18 pounds. She also bought 2 apple pies. If she plans to give all of the apples to 9 friends, how many apples will each friend receive? Focused on this last question, if she plans to give all of the apples to 9 friends, all the apples to 9 friends, how many apples will each friend receive? This is a classic. As we focus on that last question, we can now see that if we have the total number of apples and we divide that by the number of friends, we should get our answer. That's our strategy for our operation. How many friends do we have? 9 friends. We're going to divide by 9. How many apples do we have to divide among those 9 friends? Jalen picked 45 apples. Now, we've got a lot of other numbers here. Do we need any of these other numbers to figure out how many apples each friend will receive? Well, we don't care about how far it was to the farm. We don't care about how long it took to get there, or the price that was paid, or that they also sold them by the bushel, or that they weighed 18 pounds, or that she bought 2 apple pies. All of that was there to distract us, to make it seem more complicated than it really was. All we have to do is divide 45 by 9, and we find out that each friend will get 5 apples. A pretty simple math problem buried in a lot of other stuff. So as you can see, if you take your time, you absorb the problem, you focus on what's being asked, you can figure out what needs to be done and arrive at the right answer. All right, that's it for this video. It's time for you to do some practice on your own.